What is good, ladies and gentlemen? What is good? It is it's the same day, but a new time. That's right. We're coming at you a little bit early from the Black Baseball Mixtape, and it is indeed the Black Baseball Mixtape podcast. The crew is mostly here. Sans one. We'll get into that. But this has been, just a magical time for baseball fans. Magical time for even casuals to follow the game. If you are following Major League Baseball, especially through these playoffs, you are in for a treat. And I want to talk all about it. I want to get into who's the winner so far, who's the loser so far, who do we think moving on. Obviously, we got to get into that epic 15 inning battle between the Mariners and the Tigers. That series, what did the Yankees do? What did the Phillies do? Some announcements have already been made. It's been a lot of activity, if you will, if you're talking about clubs that didn't make the playoffs, overhauls, who's free agents, who's signing. There's a lot to talk about, and we're going to do it all with the amazing Black Baseball Mixtape podcast crew. Before we get into everything we need to get into, I want to thank our partners. Shout out to the Players Alliance. They are absolutely fantastic. They have been with us since day one, so make sure that you support, follow, and check out all of the activities by the Players Alliance. Make sure you check out Minority Prospects. If you are a parent, if you are a prospect yourself, if you want to get your talent, skills in front of the people that matter, the people that can put you in a position to get recruited the right way, you want to check out Minority Baseball Prospects, both on the baseball and softball end. They are doing a phenomenal job. And shout out to our guys over at Number Game Scorecards because they are absolutely amazing. They have an exclusive Black Baseball Mixtape scorecard that you should check out. So shout out to all of them. I know my man John is in Milwaukee. Number Games is based in Milwaukee, and they're going crazy for the
Oh
Brewers
my
right now.
God.
So it's really exciting. As always, I am joined by the good homie Flobo Boyce. How are we feeling today, my guy?
The Yankees lose. Yes. I can't believe it, Cheese. I'm so happy to be here, man.
You are out of
I'm
pocket.
telling
You're
you,
out of
you know what?
pocket.
I love it. I
You're
love
out of
it.
pocket already. You're
So
out of
glad to be
pocket
here, man.
already.
Let's talk about it.
You're out of pocket already. Did you see the memes, like the
Yes,
Cancun
Yeah,
memes of like all the teams joining other teams in Cancun, like all the playoff teams?
I haven't
absolutely.
seen that one.
So when the Yankees came, Soto and everybody was waiting for them in Cancun.
Loved it.
It's crazy. He's already out of pocket, but somebody that's going to be on edge tonight, in particular, Game One, our Dodger homer, if you will. She's got her Mookie Betts shirt on. All about April, 10th inning talk. How are we feeling, April?
Listen, your girl is on pins and needles. Last week was a lot between the Dodgers and Phillies and that ending. And then, of course, the 15 inning game. And those weren't even my teams. So I'm prepared for whatever. I even took a nap already. I took a nap just in case we go 15 innings too.
You'll be right. Like, you
Sweet
bring
nap.
up a good point too, because I remember obviously everybody's instant reaction to the way that the Phillies Dodgers ended. Obviously, everybody's heart goes out to Kirkling, and just the way that game ended. There was so much talk about it for about 24 hours or so, and I remember telling my friends like, "Don't worry, no one's gonna be talking about this," and like not knowing that the Tigers Mariners were going to go 15, but just to know the nature of sports. Whereas like there's going to be another game played. This was not the World Series. This is not in my mind 1986 Bill Buckner because that was the end. Like you know what I mean? Then of
Mhm.
course Philly fans will live with that decision. You know what I mean? Like the decision to go home versus going to first. Philly fans will stew because they knew they had a really good team as well. But I
Mhm.
just remember thinking like we're kind of overreacting on that single play, right?
I agree. But I mean, of course, I'm a Dodgers fan, and people are going to say that I feel this way because I feel like you're not going to win a game when your big guys don't show up at the plate.
Yeah.
So as great as Trey Turner was defensively, he didn't show up in the postseason. This is something that we've seen in previous postseasons regarding him. He didn't show up. Harper didn't show up. Schwarber didn't show up the way that they could have. So that one play can't determine the entirety of the series for them.
I
Yeah.
agree with you 100%. Flobo, what do you think? Because there's a lot. Believe it or not, Flobo, you might be surprised. There are a lot of overreactions. I believe this playoffs. Like I believe this now. Maybe it's because I'm tuned in more. Like maybe I'm tuned in closer. But I just never noticed how much like overreaction there is on just like every little thing.
Oh yeah, because expectations are running high, right? You have a lot of
Mhm.
people that are Cinderellas to the ball. Well, I don't know. I'm not sure to call the Brewers a Cinderella team because they're the best team in baseball, but
Right.
they're new to the whole postseason situation this deep in the playoffs. And then you have teams like the Phillies with the Red October. For years, that was their October branding, and it hasn't worked out for them. So they kind of felt like they were an uncrowned champion. So yes, the Orion Kirkering thing will be emblematic. You'll see that in like montages for here to come. But
You
April's
think so?
right.
I
I
don't think
think
so. I just
I
think I
think
think we move on.
I think that single play is going to be the symbol of this season. But the problems of that series was the Phillies were outplayed. They were outplayed
Yeah.
top to bottom by a Dodgers team that's not even going in all cylinders. I'm just saying, if you got to think about this year, it was that. They came in, they won one game like last year, and they fizzled out again. And that's something they have to worry with, you know?
Yeah. Like Ian, I'm with you on the sense that I don't. I agree that the expectations change things, right? And I think there's a lot of teams going into this playoffs with high expectations. Again, we talked about. Look, I've talked about all the things I got wrong already, right? Yankees had high expectations. I know the Phillies had high expectations. I know that the Padres had high expectations. I'm assuming based off of the way this kind of happened that both the Tigers and the Cubs expectations were higher than they were, right? So it's like I don't think there was any team in the. Usually, there's some teams in the playoffs that are like, we're just happy to be here, and I think that might have been the Cincinnati Reds, and that's it. I think everybody else feels like they wanted to stack their lineups in a way that they're going to win games.
And I think that that is correct because we also have to look at preseason. There were a lot of people who picked the Phillies to go all the way to the World Series and ultimately win it. But for the Phillies, I also would like to add that it seems to me that out of all of the teams, they are the one team who cannot get over that break hump. That them being off or them getting the bye, other teams seem to have figured it out, but they seem to still look a bit sluggish even in their play. Like we could talk about some of the people not showing up offensively. I mean, Chris Sanchez was phenomenal on the mound,
Yeah.
but for the batters, yeah, they did come out a bit cold, and I'm wondering how that factors in for them if a break just doesn't work well for them, even though it may work well for some of the other teams.
Here's a hot take. The Phillies regressed. The only reason why we don't notice it is because the NL East was so unbalanced. Last year it was closer,
Mm.
and it was like, okay, they run it back. But the Mets came and fell on their ankles, and then the Braves were not even competitive. And everyone was like, the Phillies are doing really good. And what happens? They went against great teams and disappeared, man. They need to break that whole thing up. Hopefully, I mean, they're running it back with the same manager, but they have to be some real component talk about how to improve that team if they want to go over that hump next year.
Oh, I mean, here's the thing, and it is an interesting take, right? If the Phillies have actually regressed, here's what I think. I don't think the Phillies regressed as much as we're talking about here. What I think happened was the Dodgers got healthy and their Dodging
Mm.
pitching worked. And anytime you're facing Shohei game one, Snell game two, was it Yamamoto game three,
Or the
Glass
opposite.
now did an
Mhm.
amazing
Yeah.
job in game four. Like this is what you got. And I think that we almost have amnesia because the way the season went. We
Yeah.
almost have amnesia that again, everybody thought if the Dodgers were right, they were gonna win every game. Like
Right.
how do you beat the Dodgers? Because they had all of these things. Now here's the thing. The Roki Sasaki we thought we were gonna get at the beginning of the year is
Right.
not the Roki Sasaki we're getting now. However, the Roki Sasaki we're getting now might be better than what we expected at the beginning of the year, simply because the Dodgers need the bullpen help so badly, desperately, right? So they're getting quality innings from Vesia, they're getting quality innings from Sasaki, they're getting like They got a
Team.
great outing from Glass now, right? And I'm in my mind, I'm thinking playoff baseball. If you get a good, healthy, awesome Blake Snell, you get a good Tyler Glass performance, you get a good Shohei was doing fine before he went. Like again, and this is the Phillies team that didn't have Zach Wheeler, right?
Right.
Like so again, who Sanchez did amazing. Who's the other? Who's Luzardo? There's Sanchez, Suarez, and Luzardo all did really really well. Like they did good.
Right.
It's just not having Zach Wheeler to throw at least one of those games. And, Wheeler, I think, was kind of the hammer in that lineup, right? What I mean by that is if you want to stop a run all season, if the Phillies were regressing, but they wanted to stop a run, Zach Wheeler usually took the bump. You know what I mean? And got a good win. Like Wheeler was what, second in the Cy Young before he got hurt?
Listen, man, I don't know how much the Phillies are paying you to defend them.
That's
I appreciate that, brother. But if you want to be world champion, you got to beat world champion work.
Yeah.
I have not seen a team besides the Yankees this season, not to pile on, which I will pile on. That just seemed non-competitive. They were close to score.
The comments are already jumping on you about your Yankee hate.
They
Flobo,
should.
I see it. I see it already. They're shot out.
But look,
Get
the
at
score
Flobo in the comments.
the score was closer with Philadelphia and LA. I'm not going to deny that, but it did not feel the Dodgers were even bothered. Now, the Dodgers are good enough of a team. They'll find ways to win. I'll give you that. But if you're going to tell me the best of the NL East kind of didn't even seem like a threat, that's a problem that you should look inward because the Phillies should be winning this division for the foreseeable future. But they are embarrassed year after year in disappointing flameouts. At what point do we say it's us, not them being good, it's us not being good enough?
I think you do say that. I do think you say that. But I also think had they won that game in extra innings, right? Then it's forces a game. Does it force a game 5? That was game 4, right?
Yes, it would have forced the game 5.
Backs would have been against the wall going back to Philly. I mean, I love the 5-game series. I really do.
I do.
But I do think that game, again, that game 4, if Philly comes out, because they did really well in game 3, right? Dominated game 3 after Kershaw comes in. We'll just comment for another discussion. But I really do think if they win game 4, take it back to Philly, it's a little bit different of a conversation, like a little bit different, because then who gets tight? Who really gets tight then? But I'm with you. Like, hey, look, the Phillies, I don't know if I'd consider them the biggest loser of the postseason so far, but they're a big loser. And you're right. They made the decision. I think it was announced earlier today that Rob Thompson, he stays. They're going to run it back. They still have to sign Schwarber, right? Is Schwarber the odd man out here? And like I said, you were alluding to this, Flobo, and the truth of the matter is, you're right. Big time players. If Bryce Harper is a big time player, as we think he is and should be, like he's getting a pass because he's getting, who gets a bigger pass, him or Aaron Judge right now? Because like Aaron Judge, at least now he had one game. He had one game where he showed up all series, but he had one game where he really showed up and dominated and put him in a position, right? So I would say Judge is doing more than Harper has, like postseason wise, right?
And Turner. So it's both of them, because I can literally say that for Turner, one of the reasons why some Dodgers fans were like, we don't know if we want him, outside of the fact that there were rumors that he wanted to go back to the East Coast, was will he show up in the postseason? And that was something that was not consistent for him. So yeah, this is something that tends to happen for them. And the question is, why? Why don't they happen to, what is the thing? And I mean, granted, let's say they do go back to Philly. We would have had the same conversation about Shohei Ohtani, because he's only had one hit out of that series as well. So at the end of the day, you're getting paid the big bucks to do your job, and the fans and the people, they're expecting you to show up and do accordingly. But I wanted to also mention for the Phillies, one of the things that they talked about was that they were waiting for the starters to get out of the game. They wanted to go against the bullpen. So for them, they were hoping and praying, let's just get to the bullpen. Let's just get to the bullpen. And you get to the bullpen, and I mean, besides Kershaw, you really couldn't even do what you needed to do against them. But it shouldn't come down to the bullpen for you to try to get a victory.
So I put it in the chat already. You've seen it all over social media. I got a big kick out of it as well. It's sort of serious question, but not really. But we will admit that the Philadelphia Phillies are one of the whitest teams in baseball.
Yes.
By my count, and my metrics and standards, Taiwan Walker obviously is an African American who's on the team. He is the only one on the team, and I think he's been the only one on the team for the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
Flobo, I present to you the question:
Uh-oh.
Is Philly too white? Are the Phillies too white to win the World Series?
Can I say the word affirmative? Yes. You need some flavor, man. I'm talking about flash. I'm talking about speed. I'm talking about defense. Look, it's a black baseball mixtape, but I will take
That's
some
funny.
Latin players as well, man. I just feel like it is a weird
That's funny.
makeup in 2025. If you're looking for the best of the best of the best, and ain't nobody got color in your squad, nobody.
Oh, good lord, good lord. Hey, April,
Look, all I
same
want
to
to say
you.
is I don't even have to say it. Just go on social media. Their fans
They're going
are
crazy on
saying
social
it
media. They're going crazy on
for
social
us.
media.
They're making TikToks, they're making
That's
IG
funny.
reels, and
That's
they are
funny.
begging, can we please get some
That's
diversity
funny.
on our team?
That's
Like,
funny. So look, hey, look, I'm having a lot of fun with it. It's a thing. The Phillies are gonna need something, right? And I mean, and however they deliver it, they're gonna need when it gets to the postseason, when they're attacking every batter and every pitch with really good pitchers and the best stuff. One, that community, that town is flat out awesome. The
mm-hmm.
support that they have nationwide is flat out awesome. So it's like
Internationally too.
you really want this team, and I think I've told this. I am on record for saying this. So please, anybody that's following, make sure you make it write it down. I think Bryce Harper is tailor made for the Phillies, for
Yeah.
Philadelphia. I think he's a tailor made player for that environment. Um, I know Flobo. When I said it the first time, you were upset about it, but
Yeah,
I
because he
do
hasn't won anything. So
I do
okay,
think
good
I
job, Philly.
think that he fits. I think he fits that town and that community, as well as any superstar fits in baseball on a team, right? Like he just fits. So I want him to do well. I want the Phillies to do well. Not obviously not better than my personal favorite teams, but I want him to do well.
Okay,
And I
can I
know,
ask? Can I ask when you
yeah,
say he fits? You mean because he looks like a shaggy bearded man in Philadelphia? Do you mean
no,
because
no.
like what does that mean to you?
I think that community is a hard-working, blue-collar, uh, get it out the mud type of fighting city, and I feel like Bryce Harper fits the role of a player that does that. I'm again, say what you will about Bryce Harper in regards to what he's had to live up to, his expectations, and what he does. But he strikes me as a guy that's working hard, making all the adjustments he needs to make. Remember, this is a guy who's a catcher slash outfielder, now first baseman. Like he just does the things that I think the Philly fans appreciate, and I think he does it at a top level. I would say like Shohei fits. I think Shohei fits L.A.
I agree.
Like the Dodgers, not the Angels as much, but
Right.
there are players that I think
Yes.
fit an environment. I think Jazz Chisholm fits New
Perfect
York
New
now.
York.
Like
Yep.
I feel like these are guys that fit the team that they're playing on, the environment
Mhm.
that they do. And then again, like yeah, it's just the way that's just the way I feel about it.
For me, can I elaborate too? I think
Yeah.
whenever you associate certain players with certain teams, you just see the name and the team like 1 + 1 = 2. It just fits like a puzzle. So that's what I get with Harper and Philly as well. There are some players, whenever they move to teams, you're kind of like, oh my gosh, like, does he really fit here? I would say that about Soto. Like, does he really fit on the Mets? Like, is there really a good puzzle piece whenever I see his name on the back of that jersey? To me, there's a question mark there. But whenever I see Lindor, I absolutely believe
Think
that
he
he
fits
is
in New
a
York.
Met,
Yep.
and
That's
he
a good
absolutely
point. Good
fits
example.
that culture, and it just all about it. So yeah, I think Harper completely is there. I think Shohei is completely a Dodger. But yeah, that's what I get whenever you say a good fit.
Yep.
I just think you're just jinxing him, saying he's a Philadelphia fit. I mean, he's never going to get a ring. Never. He ain't never going to get a ring.
Put
Oh
it
Ever.
on the
oh
Ever.
man. Hey, so we talked a little bit about obviously the Phillies. Let's talk about the other side of this, because if you're looking at teams that we think are really upset today, like they're upset that they're not playing baseball right now, you got to look at New York, right? You got to look at the Yankees.
record.
Um, Between Philly and the Yankees, those obviously those are 1-2 or 1A, 1B, and what we think would be considered kind of the biggest disappointments in the playoffs, right? Like I don't think there's a team that had higher expectations that is already knocked out. So when you look at the other, and unlike Philadelphia, I have not heard a commitment to Aaron Boone yet. I heard kind of like the obviously the rumor mill goes in the opposite direction that says it looks like Boone might be out, but we don't know. I haven't heard anything official yet. Flobo, if you are the Yankees front office today, how disappointed are you? How disappointed should you be in reality? Like if we're looking at the totality of the
Yeah.
season.
Yeah, okay. So I know I'm a big Mets fan, so I'm trying to put that aside real quick. But I always say this: the Yankees need to be good. They need to be good to be a marquee franchise for the MLB. You hired a man because the guy before him, Joe Girardi, was not getting you rings. So you hire a guy. He's had the job for about a decade now, and he has fallen in the playoffs every single year. I don't want to talk about over managing because, frankly, I'm not in the rooms. I don't know how much power the guy has versus the general manager, but the results are with a franchise that is as itching for a championship. And I want to compare this to the Diablos of Mexico. I know you're calling
Mhm.
like Yankees and
Yeah, no,
Diablos.
go ahead.
The Diablos didn't win a championship in 9 years, and they hit the panic button. They signed Robinson Cano. They signed Trevor Bauer. They signed everybody, and they won that championship because that franchise is the most storied franchise in Mexico. The Yankees have this complacency where it's like, as long as we're a playoff team, that's okay. And it's not okay because we need teams to be good. Now, I enjoyed it as a Mets fan, but you
Right.
can't keep running this whole coaching staff out every year and expecting different results. You are wasting Aaron Judge's prime like Mike Trout before him. What are you doing, Bronx? Come on.
Mike Trout, by the way, another example of when I think of Mike Trout, I actually think of Philly. I do not think of LA.
Interesting. Really?
Because Mike Trout's a Philly guy who owns everything about Mike Trout. It says Philly, like,
Oh.
and it just seems like that's a there's some comments that are like stars fit anywhere that they play well and like have long tenure. Mike Trout to me has never felt like an Angel. Like he's
Never.
never felt like a perfect fit for the Los Angeles
No.
Angels.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. Well, who was really?
I'm about
Vlad.
to say
Mhm.
Vlad.
Okay, that was
Yeah.
20 years ago. I mean, like,
Yeah.
I mean, yes, Black
Vlad.
Rockaroo, yes, but
Right, Don Baylor. Go ahead, April. I'm sorry I cut you off.
Oh no, I was agreeing with Vlad. In regards to the Yankees, that's just the reason why I didn't pick them. I just did not have confidence that they were going to be able to overcome whether it was the Red Sox or the Blue Jays. And based on what I've seen, the Blue Jays were able to overtake them in the regular season. But I just don't understand how a team that has gone out of their way to improve on different cylinders, you still are making the same mistakes on the field. And for me, like how what are y'all doing? What are you doing in practice? How are you not running the bases properly? How are you not getting basic ground balls, double plays, etc.? And as a fan of the game, it's frustrating to be able to watch that kind of play happen when you know that they are better than that. So on one hand, you're kind of like, will a manager be able to change that? Will they be able to inspire something better? Or like, I kind of don't know which way to be able to go with it. But yes, sometimes you do have to say change has to come at the top to be able to inspire better, because you can't have that 2 seasons in a row with the players that you're managing to be able to get. So now you're wondering,
Is,
okay, do they
is
get
that
Bellinger back?
Is that fair though? Because you're saying 2 seasons in a row. They were in the World Series last year.
And that was a disaster of a
It
fifth
was an
inning that I
embarrassing
don't
World
think
Series.
anybody forgot about.
They went through the easiest AL path I've ever seen, and they were non-competitive at the World Series, which is even impossible. I didn't think it was possible to be non-competitive in the World Series. Yes, that's embarrassing.
And lost on your own turf.
I mean, a lot of teams lose on the road. I mean, like lose
Yeah,
on their
they
home
do,
teams.
but not
But
like that.
I, I feel a little bit differently overall. But continue on.
What we're saying about the Yankee situation, the way they went to Toronto or they played Toronto, and Toronto was, and I'm really paraphrasing from what they were saying on SNY here, but they were way more balanced. The Yankees are a team that relied too much on the long ball, and when it wasn't happening, the whole offense dried up. And the Blue Jays and team like the Brewers manufacture runs. So when you see a balanced team like Toronto going against a team that's so top heavy and so long ball heavy with the Yankees,
Mm,
and if you're not in that booth going, we should probably change our ways to be younger, more athletic, and be able to manufacture small ball runs, then
right.
everyone needs to be out of a job. I'm sorry.
So
That and
here's the thing. Here's the thing, and it was brought up in the post game show between two Yankees, right? A Rod and Derek Jeter. They were alluding to it's not Aaron Boone's fault.
I saw
Aaron
that.
Boone has got his hands tied by the front office and AKA Brian Cashman because he did not build a team that was capable of winning at a high level. They were like, you can blame a lot of people, but you can't blame Aaron Boone. What do you guys think about that?
I mean, if they're in there and they're saying it, I can't dispute something that they may know a little bit more about than I do. But what I can comment on is what I see in the games, and I just wonder, how do you inspire better play? How do you? I mean, I don't think that someone above Boone should be making. Are they the ones making the call about, okay, let's bunt here, let's do this? I mean, I correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, I don't think that was what they were alluding to. I think they were
Okay.
alluding to like
Cashman.
Boone's hands are tied based off of the roster construction they had.
Okay.
Basically, is Cashman should go or Boone should go, is what you're saying.
I've heard Cashman rumors about him going. I've heard a lot of people say that it's time for him to go too. So
Yeah. I would be happy with either one of those because the philosophy is not working. I mean, look, 10 years and you get to be next to the playoffs, that's fun. But there's a time where you're like, your fans are coming out and buying premium tickets to see a premium product, and you can't run the bases. What are we doing?
or catch the ball in the infield, and they really just signed him to an extension. So I'm kind of surprised that there is a conversation even about him going. But I will say the most surprising thing to me is he's had quite a length of time to be able to do this. And whenever we talk about managers who don't get that same level of time and respect, it's quite different. So I think 10 years is a lot of time to be able to make a move somewhere.
Yeah, I was a little surprised about how long Boone has actually been there. When you know, kind of when you're looking back on and reflecting on his record, that was a little bit jarring.
Mm-hmm.
But let's keep with this because it was announced today that the Padres obviously lost in the wild card round to the Cubs, but Padres manager stepping down. There's quite a few jobs that are open in Major League Baseball right now. Quite a few front office overhauls as well. If you're just looking at the playoff teams between the Reds and the Padres and the Cubs, we talked about the Phillies. We can talk about the Tigers. Um, which one of those teams do you think, outside of the Phillies and the Yankees, are also doing a bit of soul searching right now?
Padres. And I'm not just saying this because I'm in the division. I think that they've been doing a lot. They've been doing soul searching from the top to the bottom, and
Hey,
that
hey,
is
hey, hey,
coming.
hey, hey, hey.
That's coming from the family aspect. That's coming from the rumors between the players having some beef. That's coming from people saying that Schilt had enough of some of the things that were happening within the organization. So I don't know how true these rumors are, but yeah, that to me, that one stuck out. We'll see, but I'm interested to know exactly what y'all think. I think for me that I mean, you said, both of y'all have said it. They're an extremely talented team, but there is something that has to give when you just can't make the cut. like past that wild card round. There is something going on where you have all of this talent, and from a mentally or whatever aspect, you can't even score runs in the postseason to make it to the next round.
And I'm with you 100%, April, but I can't not mention Detroit for this one. I mean, I can't see a team go 15 games clear to almost
Right.
not making the playoffs, then have a flash like or dead cat bounce, or maybe they got themselves back on track and just did not execute. At that point, you blame the GM? I mean, the elements were there. It actually worked for half of the season, but then things fell apart. Like who gets the blame when something like that happens? That's what I want to see how they bounce back, because I have never seen that. And I say that also as a Mets fan, because we had a very similar trajectory.
Right.
But I have not seen a team go so far, so hot, drop off, try to recollect themselves, and just didn't get it done.
Great point.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you guys. I think the Padres, outside of the Yankees and the Phillies, I think the Padres are the next one that's saying their expectations were just astronomical, right? And they should be. They're a really good baseball team. So I think that they're doing a lot of soul searching. The Tigers are an interesting one simply because I know last year they were ahead of schedule. This year they were dominant for a lot of the
Right.
season. So I think that changed. Look, everything started to change, right, as they went through the season, saying we're ahead of schedule last year, but this is our time. We're dominant now. And for them to have that second half collapse that they had, but to come back, I do think there's a little bit of hope of winning that wild card round against Cleveland, because at least they can say, "Hey, look, we mustered it up. You know what I mean? We got the Cleveland series win that we needed,
Hmm.
and then they got to Seattle, got to the Seattle series, and I think they were, that felt like they could win that. Like they
Yeah.
felt like it was never out of reach. It didn't feel
Right.
like a team that was out of depth, right? It just the ball bounced Seattle's way, in preferably in that way, and so I think Detroit is kind of where, hate to bring it back to my team, but I think Detroit is kind of where those Orioles were no, in regards to having like the 2 years in a row where that first year they were ahead of schedule, they won over 100 games. Then I guess it was, yeah, last playoffs, they got swept in that wild card round again, right? Oh no, they're
Mhm.
in the divisional round. They were waiting. So I just think that now here's the deal. Again, very similar to where kind of the Orioles were this coming year. The Tigers are a team where it's either with extremely high expectations, but they can go one of two ways. We saw where the Orioles went. The roof came out, like they
Mhm.
collapsed. But the Tigers are the team that's like ahead of schedule. This is our kind of potential. We're making the divisional round, and now how do they keep ascending to a way where they're making the next step? I actually do have confidence. Shout out to my guy said. I have more confidence in AJ Hitch than some. I thought I think he does a really good job. Again, he may overmanage a bit, but I felt really good. Like not good, but I feel optimistic if I'm the Tigers and I'm able to keep my team together. You still need more pitching, right? Like
Yeah.
Flaherty and some of those
Mhm.
guys. Yeah, no,
They-
Scooble's the guy. Like
Right.
I'm
Yeah,
thinking
he is.
you need Scooble help, right?
Yeah. And they better look like paying them. I mean, if they don't do nothing else, they better extend that man and pay him every cent that he has earned.
So so before we really get off of this and move on to the winners of this, we don't really, again, as reflective of this show, we haven't really talked a lot about the Cubs. Where are we with the Cubs? What we expected of the Cubs and where they finished up. I mean, I thought it was kind of cute every time like Greg Counsell comes out in Milwaukee. He's just getting mercilessly booed, and rightfully so.
Right.
But are like, where are the Cubs today? Kyle Tucker's already announced that he's opting out. He may resign, but he's got to opt out, and he did.
Right. Uh, y'all know I was rooting for the Cubs. I mean,
Hey,
they're Philly-ish in some aspects, if you know what I mean. But
Does that mean they're just too white? They're really white.
that's the word, Philly-ish now? We're going to say. The actual city of Philly is chocolate as hell, but the teams.
BEI
They
left.
are whiter than the Phillies.
But for me, it's like number one, are you going to re-sign Kyle Tucker? And based on what a lot of people are saying, the answer is it's not happening. Number two, I think for the Cubs, they absolutely have to work on their pitching. That is something that they're going to have to close up.
Yeah, shout
But
out Andrew Kitrick though. I felt like he pitched every game, like every game.
right. So for the Cubs, when it came down to it, it just you got to see the holes versus a team like the Brewers. If you're somebody who didn't watch the Brewers all season or you're a casual fan, you got to see like a complete team versus what the Cubs were and how the Brewers played together. And I'm not gonna lie to y'all, I can't put my finger on what's missing for the Cubs. And I think that's the thing that frustrates me about them. There is
Black
something.
players. No, sorry.
Well,
That'll be it. That'll be it.
Just
that
joking,
too,
guys.
yes, that. There it is. There
We
we go.
figured it out,
Not
y'all. We
really.
figured it out.
There we
players.
go.
Yeah, the Cubs were definitely cute, and I think not last week or the week before, I thought they were a stronger team in September. Their last month was kind of wobbly. The fact they hung out with the Mets, which should have been a sweep for them, gave me a little bit of pause. I had them losing that Padres series, so they went ahead on that end. So I was kind of surprised. But then you're right; it did seem that it was sluggish play. It did seem that they were tired. It did seem they needed some more youth, some younger legs in there, especially on the Bates pass. But I think of all the teams that are disappointed who didn't turn around, the Cubs have the least to be embarrassed about. You know what I mean? You look at like Detroit, how they flamed out, or the Yankees, how they flamed out, even Philadelphia. The Cubs were not quite happy to be there, but they played to expectations. And so I say, okay, yeah, it's sad. Craig Counsell, what are you doing? At the same time, though, it's like you rebuild and try it again next year.
I'm with you. I think they actually played above expectations because I didn't have them beating the Padres, right? Now they had those 3 games at home, so and they were the higher seeded team. But I thought the Padres would still take them out, and they didn't. And so I do feel like the Cubs should feel like they have something to build upon Matt Shaw and Michael Busch and some of those players. But yeah, they PCA especially as well. But I feel like they just I don't know. Ian, I hadn't watched them a lot all season. We talked about this, but
All right, will you next year though, or are you just like forget it?
It depends. I'm trying to figure out what could the Cubs do to make me a fan of the Chicago. I do think. Well, one is I am going to Wrigley in 26. I'm scheduled to go to Wrigley for a game next year. So ideally, maybe going there and seeing it and just being in there will help me. But I don't. What can the Cubs do to make like non-Cub fans fans?
Dude, I don't even know because I don't even know why you hate on them. You're just like, I don't watch them. Why? I don't know. Like I don't even know where to start.
You know what? I don't know because I don't watch a lot of the Brewers either. We talked about this. I don't watch a lot of the NL Central, and when I do watch the NL Central, I'm watching Hunter Green and the Reds, and I'll watch the Pirates every once in a while. So I don't watch the Cardinals a lot either. So I don't watch the Cardinals. I don't watch the Brewers.
Well, the Cardinals are boring. I can tell you that much.
But the Cardinals, the Cardinals, if anyone, Black Baseball Mixtape family, if anybody should be watching an NL Central team in some ways, it's the Cardinals. They've got Mason Wynn, they've got Jordan Walker, they've got Victor Scott II in that lineup, oftentimes starting. So we should, as we give you players you should be rooting for.
Well, I would say this though. When it comes to the Cardinals, I can tell you objectively when it comes to their presentation of their sports packages, when it comes to their style of play, it is a little bit more subdued. So I get if you're like, not my cup of tea. But the Cubs aren't that at all. They're a dynamic team. You're just like, I'm hating on them. I don't know why.
I don't know, man. And maybe I need Kerry Wood and Mark Pryor back. I just don't know. Moises Alou. I might need somebody in the Cubs that's like, and again, PCA is exciting, right? PCA, my son is 11 years old now, and happy birthday came. He just turned 11. And we were doing the game of like, who do you like, this player or this player? And PCA won a lot of, PCA is cooler than a lot of players to him, to the 11-year-olds. And everybody. It should beat everybody.
Right.
That might be your answer.
I was going to say, too, I'm sorry. I do wonder, too, if the allure of the White Sox overtakes the Cubs from a cultural aspect. Because, you know, I will honestly say I grew up.
From a black culture aspect or a cultural aspect?
Yeah, black culture aspect.
Yeah, because I was going to say, the Cubs are Chicago. Kind of.
But from a black culture,
from a black perspective,
the White Sox. So I was wondering if that is like an underlying factor for you, where in the back of your mind you kind of cheer for the White Sox a little bit more than the Cubs do.
It's a good point. If the White Sox were competitive and they had like a TA replacement, I think you'd be watching Southside a lot more.
Yeah, I'd watch. I probably would. I
They
watch Chicago more than I watch the Cubs, but I don't. Unless it's like it could be a subconscious thing. I just never thought of
yeah.
it that way. But you're
Hmm.
right because again, when the South Side's rocking, everybody's watching.
Hmm.
Everybody's watching.
And they
Uh,
still have the best jerseys. I don't care what anybody says. They still have
Oh,
the
yeah.
best original
I
jerseys.
mean, they did a whole documentary around the White Sox hat. Like when they changed to the
Yeah.
white and
Yeah.
black, and they did a whole documentary around it. So
Yeah.
it is a cultural. It's like when the LA Kings went to the black and
Hmm.
silver and the Raiders. Like when the White Sox did it, it became a cultural phenomenon in fashion and black culture as well. So I mean, there's probably when they were good, Obama's going to the game. Hell, the Pope's going to the White Sox game.
Right. Okay.
So there's a lot
Shout
to
out to the Pope.
shout out to the Pope. But you never know what you're gonna get on the mixtape. Um, all right, let's look forward. Let's look forward because we talked about kind of who of the eliminated teams should be concerned or expectations didn't meet. However, we got four teams left. Seattle, who obviously like if you want to say anything about that epic game 5, 15 innings to move on, but then to turn around and beat Toronto in Rogers Center last night was also equally impressive. So you're looking at Seattle, you're looking at Toronto, who just ran roughshod over the Yankees. We talked about that. You still got obviously the Dodgers and the Brewers still in there. Of those four teams, like same question kind of reversed. What front office, what like team is the most excited?
Well, I was talking about this. The idea of the swell has to be Toronto. I love Seattle's story. I'm not going to discount that, but Toronto was something that I think a lot of people have written off. You really can't call them underdogs because they dominated their division, but they have brought themselves almost like this defiant thing. Even those who haven't watched baseball have said, "Hey, look, how cool would it be if a Canadian team won America's tournament?" Like that's a good casual angle, And talk about balanced squads, top to bottom, speed, strength, offense, defense. If you had the little sliders, the more balanced team in this tournament right now is Toronto. So that's something I didn't see coming at the top of the show. But the fact that we are even considering that team and your boy George Springer is amazing for them. So that's what I'm watching for the most.
I know y'all are, I want to go Dodgers, but y'all know I love them. So we're not even going to go there. I will say what I have seen from the Mariners has been extremely exciting, especially from that 15 inning game because the back and forth, there's no ghost runner. You have these pitchers coming in. Like when they pull Luis Castillo on the mound, I was like, Lord, we pulling everybody out of the bullpen.
Yep,
But
they
it's
pulled out
just
all the
like
stops that game.
yeah, you could see the hunger from all of the players. They weren't willing to be able to lie down. And I feel like Seattle has finally understood that this is their moment and they are embracing it. And it's coming from all of the players. Like when you are even watching the pre-games, you can see their focus and where they are. And I remember last week I talked about Jorge Polanco, but the way he has shown up this postseason has just been phenomenal. He's made the right plays, the right batted correctly at the right time. So for Seattle to do what they're doing, even Cal Riley having a very timely home run, I just think that we're able to witness something after what 24, 25 years. And this is what sports are about. You get to be able to witness a moment that you didn't think would be able to happen, and here they are.
I, 50 inning games, man. That to me was the biggest divider between baseball lovers and like casual fans. Because we were like, oh man, this is dope.
Right.
And then everyone who doesn't like baseball
Yeah.
is like, oh my gosh, 5 hours? Are we kidding me? Like
Yeah,
to see these two teams, game five, just know everything. And Kyle
yeah,
Riley waddling off the diamond because his legs are done,
right.
knowing full well he has worked in 2 days. Oh my goodness.
And even the pictures, like, because I remember us in the chat being like, how is this going to affect them? And I'm like, it's going to come one of two ways. They're either going to ride the momentum or they're going to be so exhausted that they're going to take that L in game one. So,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely adrenaline. It had to be adrenaline that carried them through last night's game in Toronto. Honestly, it just had to be like this. Let's just go out there and win this game. You know what I mean? Because the 15 inning game was phenomenal. I was, Flobo, to your point, I was taken back by the number of people on social media talking about this game in real time. Like it felt like almost like a throwback days of Twitter when it was like they were just commenting, commenting, commenting. Then it
Mhm.
was again, my feed is skewed to baseball, but it was
Right.
just awesome to see people just weighing in, weighing in, weighing in. And so I really thought that that game was just a bigger kind of bigger story than it was at the time because of just how many people were weighing in on it.
And it was even that way on Threads too. Let me add that. Like it was a whole bunch of people like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't realize it was this exciting." Yes.
And so
Yeah.
yeah, so I mean, here's the thing. I think Seattle has to be happy. I think they've got they're trying to ride this wonderful story, right? Of never winning the World Series, never being in the World Series, right? This is like
Right.
this is
Yeah. Next first appearance.
an
If they were to
amazing
win.
thing.
Yep.
I think you're right as well, Flobo. I think the Toronto, like just having a nation, they're the only team in baseball that represents an entire country. They have that country on their back.
Mhm.
Obviously, given the climate that we're in, they've got some messages to say to some other folks in the United States. So
Glad you said that.
I think that's interesting as well, right? And I do think the Brewers are an interesting story, right? Like
Yes.
if they can pull it, Murphy and these guys can kind of play the way that their style of baseball, and we'll see tonight. But if they can impose their will on the Dodgers of all teams, doing the things that they do, it'll be interesting to see. I just thought it was I think they've got a lot of teams that are really really happy, and I do think that you got one team in the Dodgers that are like, hey, look, we better win this thing. We're here. We're supposed to be here, and this is like we got to get this thing. They're like the one Goliath and a bunch of Davids, right?
Uh,
Mhm.
kind of, sort of. Like, well, first thing, shout out to Dave Sims because, like, I bet he wants to be like, man, I wish I had it one more time with those Mariners, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? But the thing is about these four. A lot of people are kind of comparing it to the 2023 World Series, where it was like the Diamondbacks versus the Rangers, and it was like, no one cares. But I'm like, those two teams were wild card franchises. You look at the Brewers, yeah, they're a small market. They're handpicked by the commissioner, but they have the whole Bob Uecker thing. They definitely are a Goliath in their own way. They're the best record in baseball. Dodgers have Otani. I don't know if you guys saw this, but there was actually Otani feeds that go out to Japan where just the camera just stays on Otani the entire
Yes.
game, even though Otani's eating sunflower seeds. It's
How
nuts.
cool is that? How cool is
Yes.
that to see that?
That's what I want. And then, of course, the AL side, man. You got, again, Vlad Guerrero Jr. re-signed to his hometown team, wants to give a ring to his dad. Very anime story. And you got the Mariners that have trident imagery all over their graphic design. It is fun times here in the NCS series.
And let me also add too, because I personally feel like we can't forget the fact that the Brewers swept the Dodgers this regular season. Like they literally beat them. So I will say as a fan, this series makes me nervous. They have our card right now, and they are currently in the lead. And when you see the Brewers manager in these meetings and he pulls out a book of how he's literally watching and doing analysis of our players, it does make you a little apprehensive about what's to come. Now, do I have confidence in my team? Absolutely. But that doesn't mean that my confidence is not going to come with a little bit of, I
What,
know
even
this
Vestia?
team
You're
already
confident in
has
Vestia?
our number. Huh?
Are you confident in Vestia too?
Hopefully, listen,
I'm more
hopefully his
confident
wife
in
is able
look.
to
I'm
keep
more
him in
confident in
here
Vestia
for a
than I
little
am.
bit.
Was it Blake Tryon? Blake's the one
No,
letting you
No,
down.
there's only one Blake that belongs on our mound. I have already said this, and that is Blake Snell. Do not put that other Blake on our mound.
the other Blake. I'm dying.
All
I'm
right,
saying.
so let's reset before we get out of here and get ready to watch these games. Obviously, everything I've chosen, every prediction I've picked has been absolutely wrong. So I'm not going to start. April, I'm going to start with you as we go down ALCS and NLCS. How do you think this plays out?
Y'all know I originally had the Red Sox, but before the Red Sox, I had the Mariners. So I'm going to go on ahead and I'm going to go with Mariners over the Blue Jays. I don't know how many games. I'm going to say 6 or 7 games. But yes, I have the Mariners over the Blue Jays. And also, I would like to see Randy Arozarena get it started with the bat this particular series.
It's like a threat. Yo, Randy, don't get his stuff together. I hate the fact that I dislike the fact that people on baseball Twitter are taking the idea of being like, you know, it'd be a cool idea as the Brewers versus Mariners, where I called that 2 weeks ago. I'm telling you, I want the Brewers, I want the Mariners, I want the friendship series. Give it to me, man. So that's what I'm rooting for this week. Is those two, hands down.
So nobody's picking Toronto. Let me get this straight. Nobody's picking Toronto.
I like Toronto as a team, but I will not pick them. Nope.
I like Toronto as a team, but I feel like I have been hard on the Mariners all season. And I feel like they have made it this far. I need to give them some support because they have proven me wrong at every single angle this entire year. And so you've made it here, then yeah, you've earned my support. And this is no shade to Toronto. I think that they're a great team. But what the Mariners are doing, I gotta give them their hat.
So literally everyone's proven me wrong because I can't pick a right answer to save my life. So I mean, I could just pick a team to jinx it because that's how bad I've been.
That's awful.
But no, I mean, look, I'm even after last night, I do think tonight's going to be the tale. If the Mariners show up and beat Toronto tonight, the series is over, I think. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think travel, time, fatigue, all that stuff, I think catches up with the Mariners tonight. I think the Blue Jays even the series. And I actually do think, I think the Blue Jays, we'll see where they are health-wise, but I think the Blue Jays actually come out and win it. So I do think the Blue Jays win on this side. I know where April's going in the National League. Flobo, where are you going? Because I know where April's going. Flobo, where are you going in the National League?
Gotta go with the Brewers, man. Look, the Dodgers are a fantastic team. They prove it time and time again. Even with the fact they win with injuries blows my mind, right? You can't even count them out. But the Brewers are a stat nerd's dream. They are the small ball kings. They just find a way to, almost like one of those old kung fu flicks, find a weakness and exploit it. They're just too good to discount. I got to do it. It's not the prettiest franchise. I have to tell people who the Brewers actually are half the time. That's my pick to win this one.
Look, my man John from Numbers Game is strongly disagreeing with you. My man Izzy from the Brewers is disagreeing with you in regards to them being a fun and sexy franchise. That's all I'm saying.
I said they're the opposite of that. They ain't fun. They are boring. They are calculated. They're a nerd's dream.
I do like Yelich though, and of course, you know, the Ricky Weeks is on the organization.
And the polka.
Yeah,
I love the polka they do. Roll out the barrel. That's my jam. Of all the polkas in the world, that's my favorite.
They got real feisty at the end on social media after they beat the Cubs. You notice the L flag and the social media stuff they were doing?
Finally.
They got a little
I loved it. And those are the pieces of the sport that I want to see more of. Like, let me see it. You won it, you earned it. Wave that flag. Like, we need to see more of the talk.
They got a little chippy. They got a little chippy.
Hot take, as much as I like the Cubs, I hate their winning theme song and I hate the flags. It's dumb. So yes, give them all the L's.
All right, April, tell us how the Dodgers are going to the World Series.
Well, how can I say this? We are out here defending our title as the kings of the sport. And I believe that
I love it.
It's just another moment for us to be able to show that we are who exactly we say we are. We're going to show you exactly that too. And, you know, it's only right that we let Kershaw go off into the sunset with another ring. And then we get to add another one to Ohtani.
Kershaw should never take the mound again.
And then, of course, Mookie Betts, who is the only player currently in Major League Baseball with 3 World Series rings, he'll be able to have 4. So, and we also have to remember, this is a matchup from when was this, 2018 or something, between the Brewers and the Dodgers. So the Dodgers won it last time, and the Brewers won the regular season match this year. So who's going to ultimately come out on top? I'm rolling with my Dodgers.
Marcus Lynn Betts.
Yes.
You know, hey, look, I'm rooting for I think the Dodgers win. I think they win this thing. All the reasons why, look, Flo and April, all the reasons why you hate when I talk about this stuff. Dodgers got all the stars. They're a huge market. Baseball needs them in the World Series. Not
Stop. Stop that. Stop.
Baseball needs the Dodgers in the World Series. No. I just think when they're right, they're the best team in baseball, man. And I think if you get Sasaki coming out of the pen,
Right.
Dave Roberts does his magic, and they start hitting the ball like they can hit the ball. I just think like again we're getting playoff Kike, we're getting playoff Edmonds. They're doing all the things. Hopefully Justin Dean steals a base. Who knows?
Still
But
Right.
on this.
I think just who's a better team when they're hitting on all cylinders. I think the Dodgers are a better team.
So let me ask you this: side bet. Does Shohei show up this series or no?
Yes.
You know what? It's hard.
You know
You know
what?
what's hard? I'm dead serious about this because
Okay.
again, Shohei's so good
Mhm.
that they are intentionally walking him to face Mookie Betts. So what I'm gonna say is I don't know if Shohei shows up because I don't know if he's gonna get enough pitches, but I think Mookie Betts is gonna be the deciding factor this series.
Okay, fair.
There's a reason why I wore this particular shirt. I believe that Mookie, Edmund, and probably Teo are going to be the deciding factors on, and Muncy, as far as offense. Like we really need their bats to be able to show up at the right time. So fingers crossed that it happens. But I believe too that our starting pitching is going to have to be a big factor. I don't know if y'all know this, but Glass now was actually cramping in the last game that he played, which is why he came out. Because there were people who were wondering why Dave Roberts pulled him from the game, and it was because he had begun to cramp in like inning 4 or 5. So just those factors. But ultimately, will our bullpen be beginning of the year bullpen, or will we get Roki Sasaki bullpen? So that matters against a team like the Brewers who already know how to show up against you.
Yeah, I mean, look, and the question is, can the Brewers pitch well enough? Right? Do they have enough arms to keep the Dodgers down? And that's going to be tough. I mean, just like we talked about with the Seattle game, the Brewers kind of threw out their kitchen sink the other night too. So we
Right.
will definitely see if they have enough to hold off the Dodgers lineup, which will be big. All right, we're about to get into these games. I could not be more excited. We'll be watching very closely. If there are some players before, like in the games that are left, if there are some players to watch, we talked about some of them. Obviously, we talked about Shohei and Mookie and so forth. If there's like an unsung player that you're going to be watching very closely as we go to the end of this series, who do you think could be like an underappreciated, underheralded star of the next couple days?
Yeah, I gotta give a shout out to the In the Booth episode with Krista Hines because I asked her a similar question and she put me on to Addison Barger. And that's somebody that was not on my radar for about till about 6
Big
weeks
play
ago.
last night too.
Big
Big play
last
last night.
night.
First
I
inning.
mean, I'm not sure he's gonna be like the star in the way we talk about stars in baseball, but he could very much be like the X factor when it comes to the Blue Jays if they decide to go ahead and advance. And even if they don't, it might be one who says, even in defeat, this guy stuck out and performed night after night.
What do you
I
think, April?
I think that there's one from each team. Brewers, how will Mizorowski show up as far as pitching
Mm-hmm.
goes? Um, for Seattle, I mentioned a Rosarina, but I'm really, really fingers crossed, hoping we get to see a big something from Julio Rodriguez because we already know that he's a talented player, but what can he do when this big moment arises? Um, as far as the Dodgers, of course, I'm still looking at Roki because we know what the bullpen can be when it's great and when it's not great. And then for the Blue Jays, I said it on the last episode, and I'm gonna stand beside it. Vlad Guerrero is becoming the Vlad Guerrero across all cylinders. Whether you are a fan of the game, you're casual, or you do not watch, you are understanding exactly why Toronto paid him the money that they did. And I hope that this is something that we continue to see. So those are my 4 players to watch from each team.
All right, I like it. I'm going to do the same thing that you did, April. So I'm going to jump back to Flobo because I don't want all of us to say 4 and Flobo gives
Oh
one.
yeah,
Flobo,
yeah,
do you have others? Because I'm going to do what April did because I think
yeah.
I like the way April. I love the way you approach that.
Yeah, I do think playoff miss is something I'm looking to see if that's going to be a thing. Like I'm almost thinking, is that going to be like the hype is going to be real? But I don't have any other two, so I would say Barger and Miz are mine. But if you have four, shoot.
You have one from
Yeah,
somebody from any of the
one
other
from each
teams.
team, right? One from each team, and I'm gonna go. So I'm with you guys. So let's start with the Dodgers, and I actually because that's one I think we have the same, and I think it's Sasaki, right? If Sasaki can come in the eighth inning on some games and pitch well in the eighth, pitch well in the ninth, even pitch well in the ninth, if he has some shutdown innings, that changes the whole dynamic of the Dodgers, right? To have a
Mm-hmm.
legitimate closer in the back end of that rotation, it gives them a lot more flexibility, and he's
Mm-hmm.
found a home. He looks great there. So Sasaki, I do think is going to be just a really important piece of moving forward. I just love
Mm-hmm.
that. Brewers, a little bit tougher, right? A little bit tougher in regards to I think everybody in on the Brewers roster can be considered a little bit unsung, right? Like a little underappreciated. Let's see what Andrew Vaughn does. Andrew Vaughn got a big home run in Game Five against the Cubs. Andrew Vaughn coming over from the White Sox has been absolutely on fire since he
Mm-hmm.
got to Milwaukee, and he's starting to play a brand of baseball that people kind of expected out of him. And I think that I'll be really interested to see how they use how Andrew Vaughn performs because he's going to be somebody that I think is really critical for the Brewers. Um, Toronto, I got to go with my man Springer. Because here's the thing, top to bottom, the Blue Jays lineup, no, top to bottom, the Blue Jays lineup, even if Vlad is absolutely locked in and crushing the ball like he did against the Yankees, they
Mm-hmm.
need Springer to go. If
They
Springer
do.
doesn't go, that lineup is still gonna have a lot more holes in it. They're gonna be exposed a lot more if Springer's not good.
Mm-hmm.
And so I do think George Springer is kind of the catalyst for that Blue Jays offense, especially in the leadoff spot. And I think he's going to have to continue to be like real. He's going to have to be really good for them to win. And then the Mariners, again, I'm with you. I think you could pick a ton of
Mm-hmm.
players on the Mariners
I got
to
one.
be the difference maker. I'm gonna like. It always seems to come down to obviously Polanco coming through in the clutch, but every time it's like every big moment in these Mariner games, two guys come up, and it's J.P. Crawford and Victor Robles. And
Mm-hmm.
as much as I love J.P. Crawford. I'm a big J.P. Crawford fan. I was Flobo and I were kind of talking in the chat like J.P. Crawford not getting those two bunts down back to back in a 15 inning game. I was like, he's never going to live this down if Seattle loses. He's never going to live this down. But I think and Robles with the stolen base that gets caught I just think that those two guys, Robles. I'm not going to pick Crawford. I'll pick Robles to be like that guy could be a huge difference maker as somebody that can get on base, steal some bases, cause some chaos. So those are my four.
All right, so I got so at the Miz, I had Barger, and then I'll go on Sasaki with you guys because it was kind of like yes, no, will he be a thing? But I forgot that Woo's gonna be activated for Seattle, and Woo has got me so many points
Yep.
and Black Baseball Mixtape Fantasy points this
Yep.
season. I can't mention him. I know he was injured for a bit. That could be kind of fun to
Love
have
him.
on the back end. So that's a touch by Woo.
I love Woo. I think Woo's awesome. So I mean, it'll be great to see. I'm glad they'll America and the world will be able to see him in the postseason because he is phenomenal.
And let me also add that my pick, Julio Rodriguez, just hit a 3-run homer versus Toronto. So,
So there, look, it's
Dang.
already starting. There you go.
yeah.
There's in the chat now. Yep, there it is in the first inning. All right, so that's our cue to get out of here, so we can start watching the games and making it happen. Shout out to Sid. I see Sid in the building as
Yeah.
well. All right, so really appreciate it. We want to thank our partners as always. Our guy, our numbers game was rocking with us this whole episode, so shout out to them. Make sure you go to numbers game scorecards. There is an exclusive Black Baseball mixtape scorecard there. Make sure you find it, purchase it. Obviously, send some to your friends.
I'm gonna
But
buy one right now.
everything,
I'm gonna buy one right now.
everything on the numbers game scorecard And you can use the access code Black Baseball Mixtape, one word.
Yes.
Do that as well. But everything on Numbers Game is fantastic. So thank you, them, Players Alliance, Minority Prospects, April Flobo. We'll be back next time.